Well, hi, welcome back, everybody. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been a busy couple of weeks, so uh, I haven't had a chance to do a video, but I have. I'm going to have some time, and I've got a few ideas. Today's video is going to be kind of on two underrated players that that I don't think we pay enough attention to. You know, we all see the new reissued and the older stuff being bought by people like Miles Davis and Bill Evans and Art Pepper and all the great players. But there's so many great players that I think that are not paid enough attention to. So in this video, I'm going to talk about two and mention another. I have some ideas of some other videos that I'm going to do here in the next couple weeks. One will be on, again, some Pablo things with small Count Basie groups. I think I'll do a Pablo talk on Zoot, some of Zoot's stuff on Pablo. I'd like to get to Harry Edison as well. There's so much. I've got some new I thought I had them all, but I keep finding these recordings with Jack Sheldon, some obscure Jack Sheldon recordings. This is all coming soon in the next few weeks. But anyway, today, just let me take a few minutes to talk about a few records by some underrated players. I talked about a record a couple weeks ago by Sonny Chris, and I didn't know I was actually putting that one away, and I didn't know I had this record. And I listened to it, and man, what a great record and a good recording. This is a recording called Chris Craft with Sonny Chris on the Muse label, Muse 5068. The blue Muse label with the kind of the Omega Lyra up on top there. You can see that. Muse is a really good label. Their stuff's getting a little hard to find, and like a lot of other things, prices on used records continue to baffle me. Excuse me. But this is a great record. Dolo Coker plays piano on this, and Dolo, in and of himself, is an underrated player. Recorded in 1975 in New York, I believe, and Jimmy Smith, the drummer, not the organist. Larry Gales also plays drums on a couple recordings there. A Ray Crawford player on guitar, I don't know, but Sonny Chris plays so good on this, and again, very underrated player. If you don't know Sonny, pay attention. He's a really an underrated player, but pick this up if you can find it. In fact, I'd encourage you to, if you see any Muse records in good condition, they're getting hard to find. I would encourage you to buy them. The cover on this is not in great shape. The record is in pretty good condition. But he is another underrated player. The title tune on this, called Chris Craft, is really a great tune. There's only 5 cuts on this record, so especially on side 1, they stretch out pretty good. But just a very stylistic alto saxophonist, Sonny Chris. Check him out. He's very kind of underrated and a really good player. A really good, one of my favorite trumpet players. There's so many, but a guy who never really made it at the same level as Freddie, Lee Morgan, the hard bop players, but really played exceedingly good in that style. There's a gentleman named Bill Hardman. Bill Hardman, I think, is from Cleveland, Ohio. and came up playing in the hard bop style. Later in his life, especially in the 60s, um, his style changed a little bit, and he got a little bit more of a smoother sound, maybe a little bit more refined sound, if you will, bad term, but more, almost in a Clifford Brown style. But a very underrated and underappreciated player, Bill Hardman. My two favorite Bill Hardman records, again, one is on Muse, of course, is called Bill Hardman Home. And on this record is Junior Cook, who later went on to play with Freddie quite a bit and some other people. Slide Hampton, good trombone player. I first heard him play with Maynard Ferguson's band. Slide Hampton, good arranger too. But again, Mickey Tucker on piano, Victor Jones on bass, Shin Suzuki on bass. I'm sorry, I don't know him or her. But a good combination of trumpet, flugelhorn, and tenor. That trombone tenor sound, trumpet tenor sound that we got to know so well on the Blue Note recordings. But Bill Hardman, what a great player. And this is, I think, one of his best records on Muse, Muse 5152, recorded, I believe, in 78. Rudy Van Gelder did the mastering on this, too. So it's really a good record and a great underrated player. Check him out. I'm sure there's some streaming stuff you can find and what have you. But a good player. Another really good record on Steeplechase, another kind of obscure label, is the Bill Hardman Sextet called What's Up on the Steeplechase label. It's a red label. Again, like Muse, pretty much everything on here is recorded well. Again, with Junior Cook, same kind of band, with a bass player named Paul Brown and Leroy Williams on drums. But again, six tunes, so they do stretch out quite a bit. 3 on each side. Total time is about 20, almost 25 minutes on this record. Really good record. Steeplechase is a Danish company, Danish label, but they're around. And again, like Muse, if you can find them, pick them up. I would say these two Bill Hardman records are my favorites. What a great player. I pulled this out because it was in my Muse bin up here. But another kind of an underrated player, and before I talk about my last underrated player for today, he's not really underrated, but I don't think we pay enough attention to Pepper Adams. Pepper is a Detroit Barry sax player, and played for many years with Mel Lewis, Thad Jones Orchestra in New York, and did record some on his own. I think there was a Record Store Day, Pepper Adams, that I have here. I haven't listened to yet. I can't comment on it if I haven't listened to it. But this I found for $8, and it's in great shape. It's a Muse recording again, same blue label, with Roland Hanna. Again, Roland was from the Mel Lewis, Thad Jones band. George Mraz, really good bass player, came on the scene in New York, worked with the Thad Jones band, Mel Lewis band for a few years, I believe. And Billy Hart. Billy Hart, what a great drummer. Just plays time. He's like a metronome. Hear him on some of the Pat Martino records. Man, what a great player. But there's 3 cuts on this tune. I love Pepper's version of Sophisticated Lady on here. recorded back in 1978 on Muse in New York. Pepper Adams he's up there, you know, kind of with I'd say he and Ronnie Cuber are my two favorite Barry players. I like Mulligan. Some things I know everybody tends to like Jerry Mulligan. I think, you know, he's a kind of a smooth, laid back player. He doesn't have the force and the passion I think that Pepper and Ronnie Cuber had. But check out some of these Pepper Adams recordings. This is a particularly good one. Again, called Reflectory with Roland Hanna. What a great little piano player. He was only, I don't think Roland could have been more than about 5'4", but real tasty player. Just played great piano. And a great trio. I mean, when you have Hanna, Hart, and Mraz, smoking. Underrated, Pepper Adams. The last underrated player I have today, I'm gonna venture to guess that a lot of you have never heard of, even though he's recorded a lot. And that's a pianist named Ray Bryant. Ray Bryant is one of those players that kind of got pigeonholed in that trio style, and for some reason, again, it never really got to be really well known like Oscar. Of course, there's only one Oscar. You know, maybe you know, that style piano, the Monty Alexander style, was later in the years. Gene Harris. But Ray Bryant was a really soulful player. He made 10 records for Pablo, by the way. And my favorite Ray Bryant recording on Pablo is not under his name. It's Montrose 77 with Benny Carter. Man, you talk about a great player. Benny Carter. And not underrated. Benny Carter was very highly regarded. Phil Woods will tell you that Benny was one of his idols, and recorded some things together right toward the end of Benny's long life. Benny played trumpet as well, and recorded. In fact, on here I think there's one tune that he plays trumpet on. But Ray Bryant, man, what a great player! And if you could find this record. What do you hear Ray Bryant play on this? It's the original Pablo, the gold with the red insignia. But Pablo live in '77. Pablo recorded a lot of good live records, and this, I think, is one of their best. It was recorded, of course, in Montreux and remixed by Val Valentin. Val Valentin was an engineer with RCA and was one of the really good ones. But this is Pablo Live Deluxe 2308-204 from the 2800 series, with Niels Orsted Henning Pedersen on bass, Jimmy Smith again on drums, and Ray Bryant on piano. Very, very well recorded. And when you hear Ray Bryant play on this, again, they stretch out quite a bit. Great tunes, Three Little Words, the standard, the Ellington tune and the mellow tone. The Jobim tune, Wave, is on here. Body and Soul, Undecided. You hear Benny play, doesn't it? On Green Dolphin Street. You ever get a chance to see that movie? It's an old black and white movie. And it shows a lady and a guy walking down the street. She's holding that white umbrella to keep the sun off, arm in arm, and they play the tune On Green Dolphin Street. And it's a very slow, lush string thing. It sounds like the Philadelphia Orchestra. The tune was later adapted into jazz. Miles like he did with Sorry on the Fringe on top, a lot of other Broadway tunes. Miles adapted them into jazz, and On Green Dolphin Street became a standard. And then Here's That Rainy Day, Benny Carter. But I think the star on this record, along with Benny, is Ray Bryant. Check out Ray Bryant. Those of you with streamers, go check it out. And a really, really good player. Another interesting record, I won't say it's one of his best records, but it's a very soulful record. He did a few records for the old Cadet label out of Chicago. And, maybe his best is a record called Slow Freight on the Cadet label, recorded back in the mid-'60s. But what a band. How about Richard Davis on bass, again, of Mel Lewis, Thad Jones fame in New York. Art Farmer and Snooky Young on trumpet and flugelhorn. Freddie Waits on drums. Richard Davis on bass, and Ray Bryant on piano. A really interesting record. He plays very soulfully. Nothing. I mean, he is not Art Tatum. He's not Oscar, but plays really, really tasty and really well. Very, very underrated player, Ray Bryant, on the Cadet record label. Check it out. Again, for those of you who can stream, do it. And I think you'll find that guys like Bill Hardman, Sonny Chris, Ray Bryant, Pepper Adams to a certain extent, are not the household names that Miles and Bill Evans and even guys like Zoot Sims and Phil Woods and those great players are, but people who we should know. So check them out. I hope that you found this interesting. If you did, like, subscribe, the whole bit, and thank you all for being here. And again, I have some ideas for these videos I'm going to do starting next week. And until then, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.